Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our virtual small business town hall. I'm Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor, and every week we are here to talk about small business issues and the impact that the COVID-19 has had on them, and also some long-term strategies to make sure that our small businesses are recognized in the state and are appreciated because we know that they're so important to our communities, so important to the economy, the families that work in our businesses, the people who do business with our small businesses, and also the small business owners themselves. Last Tuesday, we announced that we were going to create an effort to organize our small businesses in the state, to encourage the governor, strongly encourage the governor to release some of the COVID-19 federal funds that the state has received, $1.25 billion, and to release those funds in forms of grants to the small businesses that are struggling in the state. So we're here to report, and a great deal of work has been done with our office, along with Chris, Lori, and Justin. And if we have them, Chris on, I'd like to bring him on, or Lori on, and Justin. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Lori as well. I thought we could just set this up, tell everybody what we're doing, get the links up. Ben has the link. Ben has the video of what you have on the and this is what we're trying to do. It's a petition to save Rhode Island small businesses. So, Chris, just introduce what we're doing and what our ask is, and Lori could weigh in as well, and then we'll bring you on the back half of the show. But we'll allow people. Give the people the opportunity to sign the petition as the show's going on, and we'll report back how many people are actually signing on.
Great. So like we mentioned last week, the time to organize is now, and we have a lot of things that we're going to build as a small business coalition long term so that we can change Rhode Island to be a small business friendly. But a lot of small businesses need help now. And there is one way to do that. And so what we are doing is we built a petition to demand that we are going to ask the governor. She has that $1.25 billion federal funds. And within that, there's a clause that can allocate those funds to small businesses. Other states have already done this. This is not a pie in the sky idea. And with those funds, we're asking just a minimum of 10% to be allocated towards small businesses in the forms of grants, as it states within the clause in the Federal CARES Act. So what we did is we built a petition. So you can go to www.rismallbusiness.org/petition. That will redirect you to a petition on change.org that asks and calls for the governor that says, hey, we need help, and we need help now, because every day that we wait, small businesses are dying, and we can't afford that, as the small businesses are the backbone of our economy. And this is an issue that affects all Rhode Islanders, not just the small business owners, but all Rhode Islanders. And we're coming together as a coalition to create the change that we desperately need.
Thanks, Chris. Lori, just kind of weigh in there.
Wow, I don't think I could have said it any better. No. So I feel like this is the way, this is what we need to do. It can be exciting. We are a group of small businesses that want to stay. We want to be here. We want to be successful. And I signed it this morning.
Yeah, and so we're starting to already get signatures on, even as we speak right now. I think that we're approaching almost 100 people already. And our goal is, the goal that you have set, the small business owners set when we were on the call with them yesterday, is to get 10,000 people to sign this. Not only small business owners, but we encourage the people who do business with our small businesses. It impacts your families as well. Sign on to this petition. And we're going to continue to report back, as we hit certain thresholds. I also would encourage, as we're doing this, get your reps, get your senators to sign the petition, get your town council, city council members to sign the petition, get your mayors to sign the petition. Everybody needs to sign on in order for this, for the governor to hear how important this is to our small businesses. We've aligned with a nonprofit that has specialized in petitions. They as a nonprofit, they may ask you for a small donation. You don't have to give it. You can just go right to the petition, sign on, and there's a little space there where you can put a comment in of why it's so important to you and to your business or to the businesses that you actually do business with, why it's important for the governor to listen. Other governors have said it, just like Chris said. Other governors in other states are appropriating millions, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars to help their small businesses. And right now, Rhode Island has not appropriated any of those dollars to help in grants. Again, these are grants. These are federal dollars that are been appropriated to the states throughout the country, and they are not coming out of our budget. These, as Chris said, these are dollars that the guidelines allow and encourage us to use those dollars to help our small businesses. So there's our petition to save Rhode Island small business. There's the link. Chris and Lori will be back on the back half of the show with a handful of businesses that are going to tell us why they're signing on. And as they do, we're going to encourage other people to pass this link around. We're pushing it out in every direction that we possibly can. And Chris and Laurie, thank you for your leadership, along with Justin and the handful of businesses that have helped guide this effort, and they're buying in and they're going to make this happen. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yes, we'll be back. We'll kind of keep you posted on how many people are actually signing on. So thanks for running that little video. But yeah, these are small businesses around the state of Rhode Island that need the governor's help. And we're encouraging people to sign this petition so that we can provide thousands of names to the governor, so that people get their voice, that our small business matter. And right now they need help. And every business I'm talking to, every business where I am visiting, this is not ordinary times. This is extraordinary times, and we need to do extraordinary things. So we'll keep you posted, and we'll be continuing to really, working as hard as we can. And we ask everybody else to dig in. You're going to meet some businesses on the back half of the show that are committed themselves to make sure that this message gets out statewide. All our communities, all the communities that make up our communities, need to get involved, and we're encouraging you to do that. So that's the opening of our show, and what a great amount of work, and we're so appreciative. I am, our offices, to be able to work with such really strong small business people. And I see Senator DePalma. I think he's ready to sign the petition as well. So hopefully he does that. He just kind of posted a message. So please go to rismallbusiness.org/petition. Sign the petition. Sign it. Thank you. All right, we're going to bring on Mark Haywood now. I'd love to bring Mark on. Mark, how are you doing today?
Great. You know what today is, Governor?
What's that?
It's not Prince Spaghetti Day. We know that. Today is the last day of PPP. So it is. We know that there's a couple of lenders still out there that are making loans. I took a couple of calls today. But as of right now, Governor, $518,855,402,128 have been given to small businesses, and the loan count is 4,798,000 as of today. That's a national number. As it relates to Rhode Island, 16,982. It's probably a couple more since I've already been talking to people. Businesses have received PPP loans, very important, for $1.8 billion. And that's really important because that is providing liquidity into the market. And while we understand that there is still $132 billion that is left, we're hoping that a lot of that will be expended today. If not, the matter of how it proceeds is a matter for Congress and not the agency, just FYI. So we are encouraging people to, if you need a PPP loan and you don't have a lender, you need a lender, call us, send us a message at rhode_island_@sba.gov, and we will try desperately to find somebody who will try to help you over the next 12 hours, because at 11:59, the portal will shut down. Having said that, there's a number of things that are going on. I heard your intro, Governor. Clearly, we need to continue to support the small business community. There are a lot of issues still out there. I think in our last discussion, we talked about the hospitality and the retail industry, which is probably more impacted than most. They are the people who didn't anticipate going out and buying tables for outside, or chairs or umbrellas, or they didn't expect that their restaurant was going to be outside and not inside. So it's really important for us to support the Rhode Island hospitality and the Rhode Island retail stores, because it's really critical. We're talking about small stores, people, doing an awful lot for this economy. If we can get them up and running, Governor, and if we can get additional, and I know you said grants, I'm fully in support of that. We talked about that a number of times, including over the weekend. And clearly there is a need for additional assistance to the small business community. And I want to talk about two things. One, since March the 15th, Governor, just the Rhode Island District Office, we have handled just emails, PPP and EIDL requests, 62,497 emails on just those issues. So you can see what the demand is, and there continues to be a demand. Even as we speak, I can hear the clicking of emails coming in, and most of them about EIDL, a lot less. Hey Joe, how are you?
Yeah, Joe.
You need a haircut, Joe.
I have 2 o'clock.
Poor Joe, I'm always razzing him. So, but now clearly there's a need out there. Small businesses, Governor, have they need the support of the community. I went out last night. We got takeout from Paquette's restaurant in East Providence. Hopefully tonight we're going to be getting some takeout from Davenport's in East Providence as well. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of need out there, and we want to continue to do that.
Yeah, Mark, and 2 thumbs up to you and your office. We're very fortunate to have you here, and your dedication to that. I mean, the follow-up that you've had has been tremendous. We know that because we've been sending names to your office, and we know that they're receiving responses from you. And when you talk about the magnitude of the issue, even in a small state like Rhode Island, they have 62,000 contacts in a short period of time. That's where a workload that is very difficult to make sure that everybody gets some attention. And I know that happens. So thank you for doing that, Mark. And thanks for being on these calls. I know we are in the deadline. There's still billions of dollars available. Small businesses that are out there, they can contact you directly. They can contact our office at 222-2371. We have been talking to a few this week about that. And then we have put together a letter. Joe can explain the letter that we sent to our congressional leaders late last week. And Joe, just explain the letter that we sent, because as Mark just said, there's 130 billion in that range that has not been expended. But there's many businesses that were not able to qualify that for several reasons, and they're just as much at risk as any of these other businesses. So just explain what we sent to our congressional offices with the.
Sure. Yeah. So when it became obvious that the program was going to expire with a lot of funds left in it, the ask was, and obviously, as Mark mentioned, to be seen what happens if it gets reissued or people are given a second chance of qualification. But, in the event those don't go through, rather than allow the funds to expire, the ask was to, create a program with those funds for the folks that maybe didn't qualify the last time around due to either having a capital intensive business or a micro business that relies on independent contractors rather than payroll loans, or some of the folks like that. And to create a new program using the funds that have already been allocated. Shouldn't be controversial that those funds should be going to small business. And if they expire, the PPP expires today with funds left in them, we just think the important message you wanted to stress, Governor, was that those remain earmarked in a sense for small business and for the folks that may have fallen through the cracks.
Yeah, we've had many businesses that are legitimate businesses that opened up after the deadline. They still got they're still being impacted 3 months later in a way that is negative to that business. And there's got to be a way to kind of screen them as, that they weren't, put in place because of the circumstances. They were, they're subject to the circumstances because all the transactions were leading up to an opening date, and all the investments were made. So if that could be freed up, that would help many, many businesses, not only in Rhode Island, but around the state. I got the Lieutenant Governor Nungenza from New Orleans on my broadcast tomorrow night, talking about what's happening in Louisiana and comparing a lot of the notes around the country to kind of figure out, okay, what are the good ideas that we all can work together? Because, you know, we're here to support Rhode Island, but we also know our national economy impacts Rhode Island too. So we have to kind of figure that out. But thanks.
Even yesterday, Governor, 2 days ago, let me see, today is Tuesday. So on Friday, the agency put out an interim final rule as it related to the fishing vessels in the fishing industry, allowing for fishermen to now include the 1099s that were working on their boats. And if they had multiple boats, they could be included on multiple different levels. So, I mean, things changed right at the very last minute. We've been trying to get some of the, you know, the people in the fishing industry to apply for the PPPs. We've had a little bit of success, not a lot of success. And so there still needs to be met out there. I mean, I think Joe's hit that right on the nose.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We know that, Mark, you participated in a call with us the Easter weekend with our congressional leaders. We're reaching out to their office right now so that if they're interested, we'll even follow up with a more specific letter, as we did on Senator Reed's request on that Easter weekend meeting that we had. Yep. It seems like a long time ago, but a lot of water has kind of gone over the falls, and since then, and a lot of work has been done. So thanks for that, Mark. And we're going to reach back to you. I mean, Chris Parisi and my friends there that help with the rismallbusiness.org site and have helped launch this petition with dozens of other businesses that are now participating over the last several days. We tried to make it nice and simple, Mark, about, all right, that's a simple ask. It's happening in other states. Let's make it happen here in Rhode Island. But we're also, as we organize these small businesses in this way across industry lines, we're going to come out again, and we're going to want to sit down with you as you did with me and Senator Palmer the other day on a phone call, talking about how the SBA might be able to, you know, get in front of a state guarantee and even free up even more dollars. Because down the line, I do believe, as a small business owner, and we've talked about credit and cash, there are going to be businesses who are going to decide that a loan makes sense for them, where maybe right now they don't think it does. But if their back is against the wall and their only choice is, hey, I need to borrow $50,000 on good terms to buy me another 6 months, and I know after the end of the 6 months I got a really good chance to go back to a really strong business that I had, they're going to want to borrow those dollars, Mark. And
and that's a great point, Governor, because remember, if somebody gets a loan between now and September the 27th, it's guaranteed by the SBA. The SBA will pay the first 6 months, both principal and interest. And I think that's really important, particularly if they're looking for, I mean, you cannot do a 6-month loan. Let's just,
yes,
because then that would be ruled as inappropriate and out of line. Actually, I think the agency has come out with a ruling that while some have tried to do that, but if you're looking long term and you need long term working capital over the next 5 to 7 years, I mean, and the agency's paying the first 6 months, we just want to get it's a liquidity issue in the market. We want to get that money out, and that's pretty extensive on the idle side of it, Governor. I mean, we continue to, as you well know, because your office is sending a lot of those over. We continue to battle with our own agency internally to make sure that the idle loans are going out to the small business community. We're hoping, I know that there is a hearing tomorrow in the House Small Business Committee, and we're hoping that, we'll be able to continue to support the small businesses through the idle loan program.
Yeah, I know that initially some people were saying, oh, we don't want any more debt, but when push comes to shove, and that's the option that they have, and they're going to see that many businesses are going to see that wall in front of them. Either it's today or it's 3 months or 6 months from now. Those loans are going to be very important, Mark. So we got to make sure that we're supporting them on that. Joe,
the other thing, Governor, I just want to raise, and maybe Joe, I don't know if you've heard it, but a number of people come to us and said, "Oh, in order to stem off the request from individuals, maybe we should file for temporary receivership under the rule, and by which holding off payments or have payments in an orderly manner." I raised that question to our attorneys in Washington that may complicate PPP forgiveness. So before somebody decides that they're going to go down that road, I would suggest that they reach out. If they have any questions, we'll be happy to answer it. But we do not want under any condition to compromise forgiveness. And if temporary receivership is going to, you may want to rethink that.
Good point.
Good point, Mark. And on the application, as you, I'm sure, already know, there was an upfront disqualification for having filed for protection. And so if you've already received and expended funds and are getting through the forgiveness period, you need to look into that.
I agree.
Yeah. Good point, everybody.
That has had some tweaks lately. It's not under Mark's purview, so sorry to take his time here, but there have been some changes to the Main Street program under the Federal Reserve, the Main Street Lending Program. They were having difficulty getting financial institutions to participate, and they've changed the participation rules. So the Federal Reserve President of Boston recently noted that hundreds of institutions have signed up. That's really for the larger small businesses out there, because the minimum loan size is $250,000, and it's a more complex instrument because it's a 5-year repayment with a balloon payment. But there is a deferral for a year on principal and interest and another year on principal. So if there are some of those larger small businesses that need that hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of capital, that's a program that just in the last week is getting a lot of financial institutions participating that once this PPP program expires, or if you've already participated in it, that they can look into.
And by the way, the 7A program that I talked about just a couple of minutes ago, where you can get a 6-month payment by the SBA to that loan, we can go up to $5 million. The express line is $1 million. So that's also a pretty significant loan if you're looking at that. And again, that's a short-term loan. There is no balloons on SBA payments. So it would be amortized over the 5 or 7 or 10 years, depending upon how they structure it.
Yeah. So, Mark, we're going to continue these calls and continue the invite, and we love having you on board, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of spend that few minutes a week with us, because we are communicating to hundreds and hundreds of businesses, and then the value that you're bringing to the table, we're able to communicate that during, between calls as well. Ben, do you have something for Mark?
The fire of God always comes in me when Ben pops up on the screen.
Are you paying the first 6 months of the EIDL loans also?
No, the EIDL loans are a 30-year note. The first 12 months are deferred, so it's a little bit different than the loans that are under the 7A authority.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. That was the only question that we had for you today.
Thank you. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
You too, Mark. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. And Ben, keep on posting the link for our petition. That would be good. And I am looking down at my phone and my messages. Andrea said that I look like I'm sleeping when I look at my phone. That's not true. I'm actually looking at my messages.
It's not only is it being posted, but it's also pinned at the top. So Andrea and Shay are in the comments, and they are helping us out as well. But if you go to wherever you're watching this right now, if you're on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, wherever you're watching this right now, the link to the petition, which I'll put up here as well, rismallbusiness.org/petition. That link is in the comments. I've posted it 3 or 4 times, and it's pinned to the top as well, so you can find it there.
Great. We wanted you to sign on the petition. If you're just tuning in, that's a petition asking the governor to release the federal monies that were eligible for grants to our small businesses. So please sign on to that petition. It's being done very professionally, and we need to make sure that we keep the high road on this, but our small businesses are important. We need to make sure that we're, doing everything we can to protect them and allowing them to survive this economic crisis that we're going through right now, as well as the health crisis. Matt, thank you. And you're helping many people. My God, I thank you for helping with the handful, or more than a handful of people that we sent your way after last week's call. Give us the update of where you are in terms of the world that you're living in right now at DLT.
So we're, we say this every week, and it's true. We continue to remain incredibly busy compared to where we were at, 6 months ago, a year ago. The summer is usually pretty busy for us anyway because of seasonal unemployment. But this just is exponentially worse. So we're doing everything we can to keep afloat. Right now, the issues of the day continue to be workshare and the fraud cases. But let me quickly just give you an update on the data, and then we can get into that just for a moment. As of today, 272,085 unemployment claims. Of course, some of those are going to be duplicates. Sometimes there are people that instead of certifying every week, they think they have to file new claims. But we know that we had over 150,000 people in a week certify a payment. So we know we've had a lot of people. And the issue is exactly how many, we're not quite sure. But we do have to touch 272,000 claims. And so that keeps us pretty busy. 78,078 of those, if you're all of you that play the lottery, that's your number for today, 7878, PUA claims. So a lot of those are the small businesses that are on this call. They're the business owners, the 1099s, gig economy workers, people that couldn't get access to unemployment before, have now had the opportunity to be in this program since the beginning of March in Rhode Island, and since April 4th, or week ending April 4th, they've been getting the extra 600. And I know it's not what they're accustomed to, but hopefully that money has been able to get back into our economy and to help these small businesses that have been struggling. And 27,512 TDI or TCI claims. Those never really got to the level that we thought they may. I'm sure that the extra money on unemployment didn't hurt, and the looser rules around unemployment and availability. So people that were being tested for COVID or had COVID could apply for unemployment per the federal government. That changed that number quite a bit, I think. Those two things I mentioned before, workshare, I'll go first. I told you we've been working to automate that process. Of course, like anything else, when you automate for the first time, things get buggy. And so we're working that out. But workshare has caught up quite a bit since when we first started talking about it. We were inundated with workshare requests. And now we are doing them throughout the state of Rhode Island. We're in the business of workshare for private sector, for-profit employers, nonprofit employers, and public sector employers. I know we've talked to a number of municipalities, school districts, the state, and lots of businesses throughout the state. And your office has been a great shepherd for the employers that are trying to get through and just are running into a wall. A couple things I want to mention. These usually come in through email attachments. That email is where you should be looking for the response. And so sometimes we get them and it says we haven't heard from anybody. It's been a little while. And, we did send an email back saying, okay, we're good, or we need a little more info, or we're ready to start. So let's just be sure to check that account. We're not often making phone calls. We're just doing it through email, but maybe, we will follow up with a phone call if necessary. I know now that we're pretty well caught up. So if it's been more than 2 weeks and you haven't heard from anybody, go ahead and email the Lieutenant Governor's office, ltgov20@gmail.com. I think that's the number. That's the right email. And maybe Shay can put it up. But those are coming through your office to me, and I'm doing my best to connect on those. And sometimes there's a lag, and I'll do my best to get that back quickly. The other piece is the fraud piece. And this weekend, we introduced a brand new self-service tool to help people that have had their claims held up as suspected fraud. It's a very delicate balance between paying every claim and keeping an eye on that employer-funded trust fund. And we have an obligation to protect that fund and make sure it's available for the people that deserve it. And the challenge is when someone files a claim with, for instance, in my name and with my social, the system sees that information, quickly verifies it, and gets ready to pay the claim. Once the notice is sent to us by the claimant, hey, I never filed this claim, then we have to go in and put a stop. Well, the computer learns over time what patterns exist, and through artificial intelligence, we put stops about once a week on a group of claims based on a number of factors. Of course, when you do that, we were talking, somebody a few minutes ago talked about commercial fishing. In commercial fishing, I believe there's a term, and maybe I'm wrong, I might have made it up, and it was the bycatch, which usually is, you're dragging that net and you're looking for a specific species and you catch something else. And so sometimes the people that get caught up in this are what I would call the unemployment fraud bycatch. And so these are people that need to have those fraud lists taken off so they can get access to their benefits. The new tool we put on is going out with the notice to the claimant in an email or a hard copy mail that says, your claim has been temporarily stopped. Please go to this website, submit the form, and if you successfully get through the questions, and the questions look just like questions that all of you have seen before, if you've done a credit check or if you've applied for some kind of a loan, it may say, which one of these streets haven't you lived on in the last 5 years? or which car did you have registered in this year, or something like that. And it's a LexisNexis tool that's verifying your information. You're able to do that on your own now. It's able to lift that hold on your own, and by the end of this week, it'll auto pay you if there are any payments that have been hung up. So right now, we're working through that. It means people do not need to call us back. Before, they were calling the hotline, and we were issuing work lists every day and calling from those lists to help people. Right now, one of the options is to do it yourself. And so that is a good option. It, we think, provides a better service in a more timely fashion. I'll leave it there, Governor. I know you got a lot going on here. Any questions? I'd be happy to take them.
Yeah, if there's any questions, Ben, and then Joe, if you have any questions of Matt. And again, thank you so much for the staff's work and your work and the leadership that you're providing, and your accessibility, Matt. We get many calls and comments about your office, yourself individually being accessible, and I think that's one of the upsides of this crisis we're going through. We're showing that that our state government and DLT in particular is being very, very responsive, and thank you for that. Ben, you got something?
I do. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Ben.
For Matt Weldon, our work share plan was approved last week. What should we expect next, especially with respect to reporting? By the way, all DLT staff we've worked with have been amazing. Thank you. That was from Peter Mello.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Peter. The folks here at DLT are public servants. I've been a public servant for a long time. It's our job to serve the public, and we take it seriously. And right now, we know you need our help. And so I'm very happy to hear that, because it's easy to get cranky. Just ask my staff and my colleagues. Sometimes I'm a little irritable. I try not to bring that on this session. Once you've submitted a plan and it's been approved, you'll be communicated with, and you need to get what's essentially a pay request form. Employers in WorkShare submit their hours for their employees every 2 weeks, and we pay every 2 weeks. And so we would send you that form on how to make that request. If you haven't received it, then I'll make sure you get it quickly, Peter. And anyone else that's in that same position, please go through the Lieutenant Governor's email, and his staff will direct them to me.
Great. Joe, you got anything for Matt?
No, just that we've all earned the right to be a little irritable now and again, Matt. You earned yours in a greater share. So thanks for all your work, and
thank you.
Thanks.
Stick around and
all right. Thanks, Governor.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Matt. We'll see you next week for sure. Okay, Joe, do you have any other comments? We got Liz coming on. Oh my God, this is great. I didn't mention that you got I think it's got a Red Sox banner in the background there.
It's an old school one too.
You have what?
It's an old school one too.
It's an old school one, yeah. And now they're announcing, I think, that they're going to have some abbreviated season that's going to start. So us baseball fans, might get a little bit of entertainment before it's all over. I don't think anybody's going to be in the stands, but it'd be interesting to see how they do that. And that's kind of your lead into phase 3. There's a lot of different type of things that we got to do to keep our businesses alive and working. And baseball's no different. There's our small business and the other business you're helping out. So phase 3, I'm sure you got a couple things to share. And I know the governor was making some announcements yesterday that impact all our businesses. So please bring us up to date and share what you can.
Thank you. Yes, I have a long list here. I was hoping to kind of give updates on. I'll start by giving the bad news. There's very few people that are still closed. It's pretty much nightclubs and places that require lots and lots of people, right? So really, anything over 250 indoor. That's really all that's still fully closed. Everything else we're trying to give a shot to make a comeback here. So we'll start with changes in capacity size. So for the most part, offices, real estate open houses, personal services like hair salons, cosmetology, tattoo, all retail and gyms, they were able to increase their capacity up to 66%, or 1 person per 100 square feet, whichever is going to allow you to maintain 6-foot social distancing, right? So it depends on the venue kind of thing. But all of those folks were able to increase their capacity size. So we're very excited about that. If you have a business and you're not sure what that means, we can have somebody come and talk to you. If you're looking for something right away, you can call your local fire marshal. Every municipality has a fire marshal, and they can explain the capacity to you. What is newly opened is your estheticians and your makeup artists. They had been in quite the bind. But we are working with the Department of Health to figure out how to get masks to those kinds of business owners so that they have the good masks. We'll probably be doing that via the chambers of commerce so that they have, to a certain extent, a supply which we think would hopefully last the entire pandemic, specific for those kinds of professions. It's very hard because you're looking at having a situation where you can't have a mask on if you're getting a facial or makeup put on, obviously. So there's Department of Health is working on some very specific guidance for those kinds of businesses so that you can protect not just the customer, but the employee. But we have come up with a way to try to make this work for those professions. Additionally, indoor recreation is open. So your bowling alleys, your movies, there's a lot of indoor kind of game situations, arcades, things like that. So all of those are opened up. They have a limitation on capacities and cleaning themselves, but they are opened up. They will start to get inspections starting next week as a new group. Events, there's a big change there. And this is very hard to understand. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask because there's a lot of numbers involved. So the big difference is whether you're having a social gathering where you know people and you're going to hug and kiss them and you're all friends with each other, or a public place of assembly because I'm kind of outside just shopping around and doing stuff, right? There's an expectation where I know everybody and I'm going to be talking to them closely, or I'm just kind of doing my own thing with, maybe my spouse or we're walking around. So the where I know people is a social gathering. The other one is called a public place of assembly. And so that's how we're distinguishing the two. So for a social gathering, you're looking at an indoor of 25, so we were at 15, we're up to 25 for indoor, and you're okay for up to 50 for outdoors. If you want to have a wedding, because we get a lot of questions about weddings, and it's catered by a licensed caterer, that number of 25 inside can go up to 50, and the number of 50 outdoor can go up to 100 for something like a wedding for a social gathering. On the places of assembly where you don't all know each other, right? And there's a fine line there sometimes. We talk about fundraisers. We're struggling with whether to consider that a social gathering or a place of assembly. But you're looking at the places of assembly for indoor being at the 66% or at 125 max, or for outdoor at 250 max. So that's what we're looking at. There's some distinguishing numbers there too. But that's kind of the general gist of what changed today. So with that, I kind of want to open up the questions because I think there's some folks who are still wondering what that means for them. And if I don't know the answer, I will get it and we'll get it back to you.
Yes.
So you got any questions for me, Ben?
Ben, anything that's coming up?
There's no questions coming up. I have a general question though myself from what you just said. What are churches considered in that?
So churches, we are calling houses of worship. They have they can go up to a 66% capacity. However, no more than 125 indoor. So that's places of assembly.
Okay, thank you. That was. Can we do beards now? That is a question. Can we do beards now?
That comes from a barbershop.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, what?
Joe wants to
You
know.
can't be like Joe or Matt. You guys, come on.
Yes.
Maybe next week I'll find something I can wear. Beard. So that would be along the same lines as the estheticians and the makeup artists. So it can be done. However, you have to use the KN95 mask. You can't just use a regular mask. So the Department of Health is coming out with some specific guidance. So you can't do it today necessarily, but you can connect with Rhode Island Department of Health, and they're going to provide you with information. And again, we're going to provide the masks to these businesses so that they can be safe.
And waiting rooms. Oh, two more questions. In regards to waiting rooms, when can waiting rooms reopen? And then are there any guidelines coming out for musicians indoors?
So I don't have any information on waiting rooms, but I'm writing it down and I will find out about that one. As far as musicians indoors, indoor entertainment will be permitted. However, there still is the rule about the distance between the performer and the guests. And it's tricky, so I'm not going to try to say it online. Either the guidance is out or is coming out, because there's different rules if you are a musician and you have a mask on versus if you're singing. So they tried to be a little more accommodating if you're just playing an instrument and you're not singing. So So the distance is less if the musicians are wearing masks versus singing. So that information is coming out, but it will be permitted as well.
So Jennifer, thanks for your question, and you've been a great participant on these shows and these calls, and actually has been on the broadcast with us. So tell your friends out there, Jennifer, to sign that petition. Get that petition going. Joe, do you have any questions for Liz?
No, thanks, Liz, for all your work. I have a feeling folks are still catching up on some of the phase 3 guidance, and that the questions will get a little bit more in depth as we get into the next week or two. But thanks again for all your work and all your help.
Yeah, and Liz, I think that again is a good point to be telling, really delivering the message that Rhode Island's doing something well, right? Because of the the infection rate being one of the few states that is lowering its infection rates as we go along and getting into an area that is somewhat controllable, but it's only controllable as long as people follow the rules, right? The face mask, the social distancing, the washing of the hands, and everything that goes along with that. And we were on the call today with one business who really, politely, but let people know, hey, you can't be in my shop if you're not going to follow the rules. And it's not easy to do, but we need to continue to do that in order to protect our economy. So, I think that message is an important one, and it supports the work that your office and you do every day to try to get this economy going, because I know that's a top priority for you.
Some of those stats came out this week. Again, anecdotally down in Georgia, they're looking at only 25% of people feeling comfortable to go into a restaurant. And we were at around 50%, right? So, that's a full double what another state who hadn't been setting up some clear health and safety guidelines was doing. So we're really proud of the work that we've done, and the inspections, I think, are helping. It is affirmation for the business owners to know that they are doing a good job, and it gives the other folks who maybe just need a little hand up. We're only seeing about 10% of businesses are really not trying hard or not doing the right thing, and we're really concentrating on them to get them to come along. We're not in this to make money. We're in this to try to get everybody to build that customer confidence, because that's the only way we're going to do it. So, wouldn't it be great if Rhode Island could maintain this and we can build up our economy and keep everybody healthy and safe at the same time? There's not many other states in the country that are going to be able to say to do that. And so we're really proud of what we've done here in Rhode Island.
Yeah, and Liz, I would just add to that the in order for us to continue the economy, we need to follow those rules, and also we need to be looking at this in a more the comparative basis is not where we were as much as where right now where we are in comparison to where other states are. And I think that we need to use that metric, because if we use the metric, well, heck, I was here in last summer, but I'm only here today, right? That's not a fair comparison for the work that we're doing and the importance of making sure we're following the rules. And let's keep where I stand on it. Let's make sure that we're right on the bumper of where we can be and as flexible as we can be. And I know that you're trying to do that. And let's drive this as far as we can, as fast as we can, but keeping the health in mind and being careful about that. So, Liz, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. See you guys next week.
You got it. Yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, so Joe, thanks. I don't know if you have any additional comments. Otherwise, we're going to kind of bring on rapid fire a number of businesses and revisit the petition. I think that we're approaching a couple hundred signatures right now, and our goal is to get to at least 250 before the end of this show. So we're encouraging people, continue to look at the and your business, Joe, in Rhode Island. You should be getting on there and sign that petition. Your business.
That's right. That's right.
Even though you're from Massachusetts, you live in Massachusetts, but your business is in Rhode Island.
That's it.
And we also encourage, Joe, people on that petition, if they happen to, even if they live outside the state, but they do business with businesses in the state, it's important that they sign on as well. Of course, the people in Rhode Island and the people who own the businesses in Rhode Island are the most important. But we really will encourage everybody that relies on a small business, whether they own it or whether they work at it or whether they actually do business with those businesses, to sign on that petition.
Of course, yeah. It being a state the size we are, it's the consumers that are also part of that, no matter where they are. And because of the work that everyone here is doing and that Liz is doing, I do think there's a little bit more consumer confidence here than there may be either unavailable businesses in Massachusetts or less consumer confidence in Connecticut. So, it's important to keep supporting these businesses in a way that brings the consumers to us, because we have that advantage based on our size. So.
Well, Joe, our office, we're meeting every morning to do the work that we're trying to make sure that we're doing our part, and you're playing a major role in that with a lot of the communications on a number of the legal aspects that we're dealing with in many areas. But thanks for doing that.
Thank you. I'm likely to be out next week, but I look forward to seeing everybody the week after, and I'll head out to get my haircut so Mark doesn't get upset next week.
Sounds good, Joe. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, Ben, let's bring on, that's right. We've got our businesses coming on, Laurie and Chris. Real quickly, you got a minute to kind of restate the petition, and then we're going to bring the businesses on to have them tell us why they're supporting that.
Yeah, I think it's really simple here. The fact is that we have this 1.25 billion, and it's in the form of grants. So it's not like the PPP loans or any of these EIDL loans where there's an interest rate involved with it. This is free money that's already in the hands of our state from the federal dollars. So if you're a small business, this is a no-brainer. Should we allocate money to help small businesses? Yes or no? And if you're a Rhode Islander, this is a no-brainer as well, because we need to help our small businesses. Every day that we're waiting, small businesses are dying, and that's not a sustainable model for our state. They need to continue to be the backbone of our economy, and we need to do all that we help. This is a grassroots effort. So this wasn't just from the lieutenant governors, although he was the one that led this. This is also from a small business coalition. All of these small businesses are coming together because we're saying enough is enough, and our voice needs to be heard. So we're coming together at a grassroots level, and we're asking you to help and join us. Sign this petition, share this with your friends and family, share it on social media. We need as many people as possible to be aware of this very simple ask so that we can get these petition numbers higher, so that we can, demand and really create the change that we're asking for.
Yeah, and Chris and Laurie, I'll have you weigh in a second. But again, this is not, like you say, pie in the sky. This is not a fairy tale. As I said last week, there are states that are putting up tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of those COVID-19 federal funds to help their small businesses, from Alaska to Mississippi to New Hampshire, one of our New England states, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, and they've been very aggressive with those grants, and they're helping thousands and thousands of businesses. We can do the same here in Rhode Island, but we got to organize, and we got to make sure that that voice is heard. Again, I'll repeat that you need to talk to your reps. You need to talk to your Senate. Senator Palmer just posted that he signed on. We'll have him on next week about how he's delivering that message to his fellow senators and the reps. So Rep. Phillips is listening to this as well, and he's offered to help as well. So what we need to do is get the message to Rep. Phillips just posted right now that he just shared that to his, the petition to his personal page. And I know that and Rep. Phillips has been very, very involved in listening to these calls. He's participated on these calls. And also, let's make sure we deliver this to our town council members, our city council members. They should be signing on. Those small businesses are important to our communities. Send them to the mayor, send them to the town administrators. All our municipal leaders should be given the opportunity to sign on. And I think if they're asked, they will. And that's going to be very important as we deliver this final petition to the governor in a very short period of time. Laurie, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that as I look at all the shop local, all the small businesses that are in there are doing everything in their power to stay safe, and some of them have just been shut because we want to be safe. But the reality is we're losing a lot of money, and this is the season that a lot of businesses are making their money, especially in Rhode Island. So we see that. And as I look at the numbers, as you know, yesterday, Lieutenant Governor, I was advocating for even more percentage based on the fact that this small business is such a huge part of what happens in Rhode Island. And so this is not something like you say, pie in the sky, but it's also the reality that money helps. Money makes a difference, you know, and we all know that. And so if we're in a position to secure our businesses and to grow our businesses and to do the things that we need to do to stay in Rhode Island and grow here and live here, then this is a really important piece that we all need. And we also did the research, my team, on what other states are doing. And when you see what other states are doing, it's a little surprising that Rhode Island isn't really attending to this very large group of people and families. I know just in our business, we support 11 people. That's not our whole staff. It's kids, it's spouses, it's, you know, so we know that every small business is not just touching the owner or the staff in that business, but all the families that surround that business. So,
Thanks, Lori. Let's bring Caswell on from the Musqueamick Business Association. And Caswell, thank you for your efforts, and tell us why you're signing the petition.
Well, because it makes sense. I represent about 180 businesses that are part of the Musqueamick Business Association, and I'm on the Westerly Town Council, have been for 14 years. So this is something that would mean a lot to hundreds of businesses in my town. Most of the businesses around here are these mom and pop stores, you know, our downtown area. They just all of them been affected. And if the money is there and it can be allocated in some form, then I'm all for it. So I signed the petition when I got it this morning, and we're posting it on our social media platforms, and we're sending it out to our membership. And obviously I'm here to just say I encourage everybody to sign the petition and share it.
Yes, all the businesses, the customers, people who work at these small businesses, their family members. This is a great opportunity, as Chris has said, along with Lori and Caswell. You've been leading the charge too for many years, but this is a great opportunity for us to organize our small businesses. And thank you so much for your leadership. I know you gotta move on, but we got another business to take your place right now to kind of keep this thing going on, right? Let's keep on bringing in people over the next few minutes. Diane, thank you for being here. Tell us where your business is and why you're signing this petition and why you're encouraging the governor to release those dollars as other states have.
Great. Well, first, I want to thank you for stopping in last week. That was perfect. And as we told you, we're a travel agency, and we've been in business for 26 years. We've seen our shares of times, 9/11, but the COVID situation has totally dropped us to our knees. We lost 90% of our income. We don't have tools to sell or food to sell. It's all based on travel. So it's all about the corporations, the weddings, the meeting incentives. All of that has just come to a complete stop. There's no money coming in at all. So the money that we can get from the grants will buy us the time that we need to get past all of this for the next 6 months, is really what it comes down to. You know, and as far as the travel goes, we're on restrictions with the international travel, how European countries don't want US people coming in now because of the COVID. So we're really just stuck in this time warp where we need that money to pursue through the next year.
Yeah, and you've got customers that want to continue to do business with you. You've got family members. I met many members of the staff that you have. They've been there for many years, and it's going to be a very bad day, a very sad day if your business closes or
any
others.
business closes, right?
Yes, man. So sign the petition, right? That's your
already did. We already did.
Petition. Pass the word. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Yeah, Judah, thank you for being here again. You've been participating in these calls. I've been able to visit your business as well. And tell us why you think it's important that people sign this petition and send the message to the governor that we should be following the lead of other governors in other states, helping support their small businesses with these federal grants.
Dan, thank you again for having me, and thank you for all you're doing for all the small businesses in Rhode Island. It was great having you visit our facility. Really, small business is the backbone of the U.S. economy, and theoretically backbone of Rhode Island economy. And Rhode Island already has a is already last or near the bottom of the barrel when dealing with businesses. Like, it's one of the most unfriendly places to do business or open a business. And in regards to the CARES Act money, like, the main things for me is transparency of where that money is going, using the money for what it's intended to do, which is to help those affected by COVID-19. And if we're doing what's right, other states are allocating even more funds than what we're asking for as a small business community from the governor. And it's a no-brainer to me to get that money out into the small business community so that we can continue playing that vital role in the economy. Just today, there was an article in Providence Business News about what's happening in Hartford with the realty market having increased vacancy, right? Those vacancies aren't going to go away. So every small business that closes, this is having an economic downfall for years to come until that retail space is then allowed to be rented out again. So, it's really important that the state and the governor does everything she can and anything possible to help maintain the small businesses that are in the state and to help ease any economic burden on them from the impact of this COVID-19 shutdown. So that's my reason. I've already text blasted my entire not just my members, but like any lead that's come in the past 5 years since we've been open. I just sent out a text message blast. I'm emailing, I'm sharing on social media. This is extremely important. I've reached out to my Goldman Sachs 10K small business coordinators to get all the small businesses in that program on board. This is really important. It's something I'm putting 100% of my effort behind in this next coming week.
Thanks, Judah. And sign the petition is very important to all our small businesses and also our business. We have various types of businesses around here today. I believe that we should have an equitable allocation to every one of our small businesses that qualify, as other states have, so that everybody gets a piece of that pie. And Judah, with your help, we're going to make that happen. We're going to follow up again with a Thursday call. We'll be getting in touch with everybody. We're going to try to build even more small businesses on that call so they can participate in a way that they can really buy into it. We had as many as 450 businesses on these calls. And right now, thousands of people are going to be viewing this call over the next few days. So we're going to reorganize again, continue to do the numbers and grow the base. And so when we're back here next Tuesday, our goal is to, hit, thousands of signatures on our way to 10,000 or more signatures. So thank you, Judah, for your help. Nancy, thank you for being, you bet. Nancy, thanks for being here. Tell us why you're signing the petition.
Oh, I think like somebody said before, it's a no-brainer. It really is. And I just posted it to, I'm the president of the Business Owners and Child Care Association of Rhode Island, and I just posted it to our Facebook page as well. So keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Just as of 9 o'clock today, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but the state of Pennsylvania enacted the COVID-19 Relief Statewide Small Business Assistance Program. Are you aware of that? Do you know that one in particular?
I'm aware of Pennsylvania putting out as much as $225 million. I think is that the one you're referring to?
It is. And I think what resonated with me was the fact that you would apply for the money. It will be a grant between $5,000 and $50,000, depending on the business's revenues. So I like the fact, I know your theory is if everybody could get a little bit, and I understand that, but I also like the fact that this one you would apply for and it would be based on what your previous revenues were.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too. I'm not saying everybody should get the same amount of check like Wisconsin's doing. I'm just saying that everybody should get a check, and then you should have some weighting in there in terms of businesses have lost 75% or more of their business, or 50% or more, or 25% or more.
Correct.
They all could get something, but they should be, based on the loss of revenue is one of the factors that I think is important there.
Right. And what I do, but the 3 months, we were closed exactly 3 months. The revenue I lost was $180,000 right there alone. So, and then I think I mentioned this too before, the first 3 weeks we were closed, I had no idea how long this was going to continue. So I continued to pay my staff out of my bank account. So that was another $30,000. So, just things like that. But I think what I want to mention today is the human nature piece of this whole thing, because we've been talking about money, and this does tie into money, because I think some of us small business owners could really use some emotional support. We've been back in business now for 2 weeks, and it hasn't been easy. The staff are on edge. They're worried about possibly, being exposed to the illness and being with all those small children, even with all our precautions in place. And I think that it's somewhere down the road we need to talk about the human nature piece of this whole thing, and the emotional toll it's taking on our workers, and maybe families too. The families seem to be pretty good and happy about, they're happy about what they're doing. They feel comfortable with us. But I think it's my staff, it's my employees, and I'm sure other people are experiencing this too. So that's down the road. I'm sorry to get off track, but
no, you're right on it, Nancy. I think it has a lot to do with, it's not, you certainly can't recover every dollar that has been lost, but to have the state step up as other states are and provide some financial support, that also is emotional and moral support, right? And it's saying you're important. And right now, other states are doing that with their small businesses. Rhode Island is not doing that with ours. Sign the petition, and then that's going to give us the opportunity to coordinate thousands and thousands of people, and then the next piece and the next piece and the next piece is going to give us the legs to kind of move this whole issue forward. As Chris started the program saying that we want to be a small business friendly state, but in order to do that, we need to organize. This is our chance. This is our moment. Thanks, Nancy.
thank you, Governor. Thank you,
bet.
Chris.
Yeah. Ben, we up tested us, Tim McCann, Tim, and I given Ben your poster that you put up. I don't know, Ben, you can squeeze that in here or not, but if you can, show Tim's poster as he's kind of giving his reason why should we be signing that petition, Tim. Oh my God, you scrambled. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sounds
Tim,
like chipmunks.
I have never had this. I have no idea what's up with your sound right now, Tim.
It's kind of like what? How would you describe that voice?
Alvin and the Chipmunks. All right, so we're gonna.
I will speak for Tim. This is a petition that he's set up in his business, McKee's, which is a sports pub in Cumberland, and Tim is one of my neighbors, and he's all in on this. So if he can get his voice straightened out, that's fine. But let this petition speak for itself. He's saying sign the petition to help small businesses, and he's put some facts there for his customers and his friends to know about that. This is small business are important, and the Federal CARE Act money can be distributed and is being encouraged to be distributed to small businesses. So sign the petition. That's what Tim's trying to say. He sounded. I don't know how you describe that voice, Chris, but
yeah.
That's pretty good, Tim.
Is that better?
That's a lot better. Yes.
All right, so obviously you have the poster. We're going to distribute that. I know there's some other pubs and restaurants in town, Skeff's, Davenport's. I'm going to try to bring it to a few others. They'll hang it. They'll encourage their customers to come in, scan the QR code, takes you right to the petition, sign it, and we'll get couple of hundred signatures in a day.
Great, Tim. So I mean,
we're going to get 500 out of McKee's in the next week. So we're all pushing for it. We know businesses out there need it, and we want to help.
Thanks, Tim. And that's a powerful message that we need to make sure we deliver to as many people as possible. And the more type of buy-in we get. That's why Thursday we'll be out again to reassemble another short call and to add more and more small businesses in to kind of instruct them and communicate with them, because there's many people who are not going to hear this unless we really reach out like you just described, Tim. So thanks. Ben, do you have something for Tim?
I don't actually have one for Tim, although I do want to know how you changed your voice and what that was.
The camera has the microphone, and it was going to default.
Okay. All right. I was wondering what that was. Thank you very much, Tim.
All right. Thank you.
I am Chris just sent a message in the private chat. Why does your nameplate say Justin from Oceanside Graphics? Because he is on a dock right now working on a boat. And is not able to join the call like he was supposed to. So he sent a video that also was crap. So then he sent me a text. So I'm going to read his statement for you. As co-owner and original founder of rismallbusiness.org, I fully support the efforts and petition to get a minimum of 10% of CARES Act funding for small businesses in the state of Rhode Island. The time is now. We've gotten this far as a community. Join the coalition and make a difference to your fellow Rhode Islanders. One person, one signature, one letter can make one hell of a difference.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. That's great. And Chris, I'm going to give you last word this time around. I mean, this is an effort that you've been doing, and I really have said this and acknowledged this, that our office or any one lieutenant governor is not going to get the work that has been done up to this point completed. A task like we're talking about, we're launching today, does not happen unless they have leadership like yourself and Laurie and Justin and others. So I give you the last word. You can sign off today, and thank you so much. But tell everybody why this is so important to you and why you're volunteering the way you are to make this happen. Ben, do you have something?
Just one last thing. The goal that you set at the beginning of the broadcast was to get over 200 signatures during the broadcast. And I just wanted to let you both know before we leave that we are at over 200 and counting.
Great. That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, first, before I say that, we couldn't do this without you, Lieutenant Governor. You really drove this from the very beginning and really listened to all the small business owners and really cared about us. And together as a coalition, we built this petition because we need help now. Again, every day we wait, small businesses are dying, and it's a very simple ask. It's a no-brainer. It's a common sense solution. Please, everyone, go to the rismallbusiness.org/petition. Here it is online right now. Sign it and then share it as much. Just like Tim was mentioning, it's a grassroots effort. He's creating a poster and explaining how important small businesses are. The stats were staggering. Over 98% of the businesses were employ almost 50 to 55%. And that's a lot of impact on our economy and on our state. So this is an issue that affects all of Rhode Islanders. So make sure to sign up, share with everyone, and together we can create and demand the change that we need to help save Rhode Island businesses.
Thanks, Chris. I'll leave it there, and we'll see you next Tuesday, and we'll have another report for everybody. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.